everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be doing my December/January wrap-up. So I didn't do a wrap-up for December because I only read 2 books, so I just thought it would be pretty pointless, but I more than made up for that in January because I read a total of 20 books. I don't know how that happened or when it happened, but it did. So yeah, I have a lot of books to talk about today and I don't want to waste any time, so I'm just gonna get right into it. And since there are so many books, I don't really have a lot of time to talk about each of them. So if you would like a review of any of these books, just comment down below and let me know and I will definitely do one for you. Okay, so let's get started with the 2 books that I read in December. So in December I had my finals, so I wasn't reading for like the first 2 weeks, but then I picked up The Winner's Curse by Marie Rukowski. I have a review of this up on my channel. I will link it right here and also down below. I didn't really like this book that much. I had quite a few issues with it. I felt like it had the potential to be so much more than it was. Yeah, if you want to know more, then watch my review, but if you like this book, then I would not recommend watching the review because I will probably make you very angry. So I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. And then after that, I picked up a book that I had been waiting forever to read, and that was All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. I was kind of let down by this book. I have very mixed feelings about it. I felt like it was very slow, and even though it has super short chapters, it was just slow and I felt like there wasn't much of a plot to it. I really enjoyed the characters. There were certain aspects of it that I really loved. I loved the setting, and I just felt like it was kind of missing that underlying plot that just drives the whole story. I know a lot of people really love this book. I just think I had hyped it up way too much, and that's why I was let down. I ended up giving this book a 4 stars, so I did still really enjoy it. So the first book I read in 2015 was The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender by Leslie Walton. I absolutely loved this book. It's one of my new all-time favorites. I just thought it was such a beautiful story. It's a magical realism about a girl who is born with wings, and it's her telling the story of her great-grandmother, then her grandmother, and then her mother, and it's kind of focusing on all of their romantic relationships. It just is so interesting. It's unlike anything I've ever read before. I just loved it. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and I have a review up on my channel, so I will link that here and also down below. After that, I picked up A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. This book is really just indescribable. It's about a little boy who's trying to deal with his mother's terminal illness, and there's this monster that comes and visits him. It has these really like striking illustrations in it throughout the book. There is a version without the illustrations, but I personally loved it having the illustrations in there. I thought it just really added to the story. It's just a beautiful, dark but creepy but sad and just amazing story. I think I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I'm pretty sure. I don't remember exactly though. So after that was the Bout of Books 12.0 readathon. I already do have a wrap up of the books that I read for that. I will link it down below and also right here, but I'm just going to talk briefly about the books that I read. So the first book that I read was Boundless by Cynthia Hand. This is the conclusion to the Unearthly trilogy. I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. I just thought it was super corny, but it was still pretty good. And then after that, I read Rune and Rising by Leigh Bardugo, which is the conclusion to the Grisha trilogy. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really good, a great conclusion, really interesting. I didn't like the love triangle though. It was weird, I don't know. But that was just a really minor thing, so I didn't dock the rating any. Yeah, okay. And then after that, I read Incarnate by Jodi Meadows, which was the conclusion to the New Soul trilogy. I really enjoyed this book. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed that trilogy. It's a very interesting fantasy trilogy. I felt like the conclusion was really well done. You got to explore some different aspects of the world that Jodi Meadows creates, and I just really enjoyed that. So this was a great conclusion. And I also read the last 3 books of the Harry Potter series by J.K. Rowling. So I read The Order of the Phoenix, which is the 5th book, The Half-Blood Prince, which is the 6th book, and The Deathly Hallows, which is the 7th book. It is hard to believe that I'm finally done the Harry Potter series after 10 years of procrastination. I absolutely loved it. Deathly Hallows was, I enjoyed certain parts of it, but I did feel like the beginning was just very, very depressing, and I didn't really like that so much, but I did love the book, don't get me wrong. They were all 5 out of 5 star books, new favorites of mine. I absolutely loved them, and I'm just really, really sad that I'm done with the Harry Potter series. Like, I just want to start it over again, but yeah, it was just great. It was such an adventure. I just loved it. Yeah. I also listened to an audiobook this month, so I listened to the One Direction autobiography, because if you didn't know, I love One Direction. I have my little, where is he? My little Liam dude right here. Liam's my favorite. We're getting married soon, it's fine. But yeah, I listened to the audiobook because they read it, so it was just like perfect. I really enjoyed it. It was really interesting to get to learn more about them, and yeah, so I gave that one 5 out of 5 stars, I think. I'm not positive though. After that, I read Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. This is one of like the most famous Canadian books, and I had to read it for my Canadian literature course. I had grown up watching the movies with my mom, and it was just so great to read the book. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so fantastic. Anne is such a lovable character, and I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. It's definitely a new all-time favorite of mine, and I'm for sure going to be continuing on with the series. And if you are ever looking to start classics, I would say this is a great one to start with, because the language isn't too complicated, and it's just, Anne is such a lovable character that I don't know how you could not like her. After that, I picked up Speak by Laurie Halse Anderson. This is the second Laurie Halse Anderson book that I have read. I read Winter Girls by her, and she often writes about really, she's kind of like Ellen Hopkins. She writes about really controversial and serious topics. So this one kind of hit a little bit too close to home for me, and it was really hard for me to read, and that's why I kind of rated it lower, because I'm rating partially on my experience reading the book, and it just kind of brought up too many things, and yeah, I don't really want to say anything else, but yeah. After that, I read The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer by Michelle Hodkin. I have reviewed this on my channel, so I will link that right here and also down below. I thought it was a really great book. I understand the hype about it, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. I didn't feel like it was very creepy, but I felt like that was kind of a good thing. Like, it's kind of a paranormal that reads with like a contemporary, and I really enjoyed that, so yeah. Next, I read Talon by Julie Kagawa. I love the cover of this book. It's a new release from 2014, and I was just kind of disappointed by this. I had really been craving a dragon book, but I just felt like there wasn't much to this book. The characters were kind of dry. It was very typical and predictable. So I gave this a 3 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Angel Fall by Susan E. I've just heard nothing but great things about this book, and I felt like it was a really good book. It's a very interesting take on angels, because it's like an angel apocalypse. The characters were fun. I did have a couple issues with it. I felt like it was very, very gory, and that's just not my taste. And there was like a couple other things, but other than that, I thought it was a really good read. It was action-packed, very interesting, and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I reread Night by Elie Wiesel. I'm studying this in my course on the Holocaust, and this book is just such a powerful book. It's a Holocaust memoir. Elie Wiesel is telling his experience at the Auschwitz camp, and I can't rate this book because it's just such a haunting story that will really just stay with you forever. I mean, it's terrifying that it actually happened, and that's why I just can't rate it, because I don't know how to rate it. But I highly, highly encourage you to read this at least once, because it really will stick with you, and it'll really kind of make you have a different view of the Holocaust. Next, I read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. I mostly listened to this on the audiobook because Jim Dale narrates it, and I really like Jim Dale's audiobooks. I felt like this was a really good story. It was kind of slow at times, but I feel like this is a book that you need to take your time with it, and it needs to be slow. I felt like there were too many characters. I don't know if it's because I was listening to it on audiobook, but I had a hard time keeping track of who was who review, but the setting and the atmosphere of this book is just impeccable. Like, she creates such an atmosphere that you just are kind of transported away to the circus when you read it, and it's just great. I definitely recommend this book. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Next, I read Say What You Will by Cami McGovern. I'm going to be uploading a review on this soon. I do have it filmed, I just haven't edited it yet. That's a weird word. I was so excited for this book, but I was really let down. I did a spoiler-free review, but also a spoiler discussion. So if you have read this book, please go and watch that video because I need to talk about it. Like, the ending just took such a weird turn. It was just so weird. I gave this book 2.5 stars. I think I'm gonna bump it down to a 2 though. After that, I read The Selection Stories, The Prince and the Guard by Kiera Cass. I hate Aspen, if you don't know. I absolutely hate him. But it did make me look at him in a different view, and I don't hate him as much, but I still hate him a lot. And The Prince, I just loved. I love Maxon. Like, I'm going to marry him. I'm literally in love with him. Oh my god. Next, I read Where Things Come Back by John Corey Whaley. I just have, like, I gave this book a 2.5 stars. I felt like it was very weird and it just wasn't for me. There was a lot of weird, like, religion stuff and it just was weird. I don't really have anything else to say other than that it was weird. And the final book I read in January was The Testing by Joelle Charbonneau. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars. It was pretty good. I mean, the whole testing thing was interesting, but then it kind of started reminding me of, like, the Hunger Games and all the other dystopians, and that was kind of annoying. But the insta-love in this was, like, so insta-love. Like, in the first chapter, it was like, oh, he's standing next to me, so now I feel safe. Like, I was like, come on, man. Come on, are you serious? No. It was just kind of annoying. But yeah, it was pretty good, so yeah. So those are all the books that I read in January. Like I said, if you want to know more in depth about what any of these books are about, or if you want to know my thoughts on them, you want a review on them, let me know down below. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want to see what I'm going to be reading in February, I will link my February TBR down below. And I think that's it. So I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.